Okay, hey everybody, Tekking101 here, and welcome back to my Supernova discussion series, where we talk about some of the most badass pirates that One Piece has ever seen. These are gonna be the guys. Well, girls too, Jory Bonnie, I'm including her. These are gonna be, like, the cast that I think that are gonna take on the Yonko. In fact, it might even be possible to see some of the Supernovas become Yonko by the end of the story. I think that makes sense. So, moving right along, let's see who we're talking about this week. It's Mad Monk Rouge. Alright, don't really know what I'm really going to talk about him. You know what's the funny thing about Rouge is that fan base loves him. They just freaking cannot get enough of this guy. They think that this guy is going to be set up to be, like, one of the most powerful characters in the entire series. And it's funny, because when he was first introduced, he was the one that I thought was the most bland. I thought he was the least interesting. I didn't really even consider anything even vaguely relevant or important or badass that Rouge could do in the story. When he showed up at Sabaody, I was just like, he's just there. He's just there as a placeholder. We could have, if I was going to pick any one of the Supernovas to drop out so we could just have an even 10 Supernovas, I would pick Rouge. It just seems like a weird number, 11, you know? It's like Oda's like, oh, well, I have an even 10, but I'm going to tack that one more on. Why am I throwing that extra one on? It just seems, I could take one off, whatever. But no, everybody loves him. And I think it might be more of the grandeur being set up around him, like maybe because he doesn't look so important that he's going to, like, Oda's going to do the flip on us and it's going to turn out like, oh, wow, he really was, like, really, really strong. And this was even before the whole thing with Snack. This was before, like, the only thing Rouge ever did of any importance in the story so far is that he fought against one of Big Mom's Sweet Commanders. The other Sweet Commanders, there's currently 3. You have Katakuri, who's the leader and is, like, the strongest member of the Sweet Commanders and, like, the strongest member of the entire Big Mom pirate crew, barring Big Mom herself, of course. Then you have Smoothie, then you have Cracker, who is, I don't know, little trivia note, Cracker is in fact crazy. But then you also had a 4th one. You had the 4th Sweet Commander named Snack, who was, he was brutally killed. I have no other way of saying it. Like, oh, he was knocked unconscious, or he fled, or no, Rouge straight up capped his ass. He's dead. He's gone. He's not coming back. So, and we don't really know much about Snack either. We don't know what he looked like. We don't know what his power was. All we know is that, not that long ago, really, it was right before, probably along the same time, like maybe a little bit before Dressrosa, maybe a little bit before the Straw Hats maybe arrived in the New World, around that time frame, maybe a little bit far back than that. Rouge fought against Snack, against his entire fleet. Rouge managed to come out on top and defeat Snack, and then Cracker showed up and then beat Rouge into the point where he had to retreat. But Rouge was still alive by the end of that interchange, so really he fought against 2 Sweet Commanders pretty much back to back, managed to kill one of them, and managed to escape from the second one. And by the way, this wasn't like, oh shit, we killed Snack, now Cracker's coming, let's get out of here. No, Rouge had a straight up brawl with freaking Cracker, and on top of that, you had Big Mom releasing her weather powers, like Prometheus and Zeus, crazy freaking weather, lightning and rain and fireballs, and Rouge managed to escape from that scenario. With the majority of his crew, it seems, as well. So, I don't know. I guess there's great things for Hat. But even before that whole scenario, the fan base was losing their crap because they were looking at his name. His epithet is the Mad Monk. And they were thinking, oh, it's not Mad Monk Rouge, it's going to be Ma-D Monk Rouge. Oh yeah, I see what you're doing, Oda. I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but okay, it makes sense. I don't care. I mean, it's fun to think about. Okay, so what we do know about Rouge is that he is from a sky race. He's from the sky race of people, which is interesting because really after Skypiea, after that story arc, we didn't really reference that anymore at all. Like, I thought, is that ever going to be important in the story? Are we ever going to run into like a Shandorian again, or is this just going to be all it is in this one little self-contained arc? But then Rouge showed up, so that got my eye to him. Like, oh, he's a freaking Brickin. That's cool. So Brickin, or a Brickin, Brickin. I don't know L's and R's Japanese. But anyway, yeah, Brickins are part of the three races of the sky. So you have the Shandorians, and you have the Skypians, and then you have the Brickins. And the reason you don't hear a lot about the Brickins anymore is because Eneru was a Brickin and apparently wiped out the entire homeland that they came from. We don't know where that homeland was, but apparently after Eneru came to power, I guess after he ate the Goro Goro no Mi, and then developed his little god complex and decided, hey, I'm gonna build an ark, and I'm gonna sail to the freaking fairy Verth. And I don't know, maybe the other Brickins were like, that's crazy, dude. You know, maybe you should calm down a little bit. Maybe just work on your rapping career. And Eneru was like, no, screw you. And then just bolts everybody down, wipes out his homeland, takes his priests with him, who are also Brickins, you know, like Ohm and Satori and Geratsu and Shura. Those were also Brickins, as well as I think Yama, like the captain of his guard. They were all part of that race as well. But then after that, we don't really hear them being mentioned anymore until we get to Urouge. So it's I think likely to state that Urouge left the Brickin homeland before Eneru enacted his brutal ethnic cleansing, that's pretty much what it was. Either that or other option, Eneru wanted to enlist Urouge, and Urouge was just kind of like, yeah, well, you go and do your thing, Eneru, you know, with your upper yard and your moon crap. I'm gonna head down to the Blue Sea and I'm gonna do my own thing. That's another way of looking at it. Like, with no homeland to go back to, Urouge just decided to, you know, just leave Eneru to his own devices in the sky and see what the Blue Sea had in store for him. So that's another way of looking at it. You can tell that they're Brickins, by the way, by the way that their wings are shaped. Shandorians and Skypians, their wings are pointed upwards, and Brickins are pointed downwards. Now, an interesting thing that Oda brought up, and I don't know if this is an inconsistency or if this is something that Oda's hinting at, but he's actually drawn all of the Supernovas as children, and when he drew Urouge as a child, we see some very interesting things. First off, we see the hair with the two little ball things, the antenna. Those are styled in a way that Skypian's hair are stylized, and then we see the wings that are positioned pointed upwards. So that either is a mistake on Oda's part, but considering Oda went out of his way to angle the wings downward and draw the antenna and everything like that, I don't think that's an error on his part. But that also, I guess, implies that the wings don't naturally grow like that. It's more of like a cultural thing. Like, some cultures in the sky decide to have their wings down, others up, and that's like a way you can determine, you know, who's who. Like, oh, you downward-winged people, you're from Bricka. Alright, we don't want you around here in these Skypian parts, you know? I don't know if it's like that, but maybe it is. So that's a weird thing, though. Like, he started off as a Skypian and then maybe went to Bricka. Like I said, we don't know much about Bricka, but I'm going to assume it's more of like a warrior kind of place, you know, considering that Eneru and his priests came from there, considering that all of the gods' enforcers and Yama came from there, and Urouge is obviously a fighter and he's pretty strong. So maybe that's like the Viking barbarian place in the sky that existed. And you know, I would say there's maybe more than 3 races in the sky, but considering from what we've seen with Eneru's cover story, The Great Space Operation, we saw that painting, that mural on the moon, and it really depicted just 3 separate sky races. So I'm just gonna go with there's just 3. So, on top of that, we really don't know much more about him. He was the supernova that had the least bounty. You know, all the supernovas have a bounty higher than 100 million berries, but in Urouge's case, his was only 108 million, so it, like, barely passes muster. You might say right out of the gate that means he's the weakest. Obviously, that bounty does not mean your general power level. You know, it just means how much you're wanted, and considering that he's from the sky, maybe that the government doesn't know about Urouge all that much. I want to say that, like, I really want to say, like, the Gorosei know about the existence of the Sky Islands, considering they have all this massive information network and everything. I want to say they at least know about it. There's just no practical way for them to get up there and, like, invade the place, so, you know, there's no point in them doing anything, but they know it's up there. But if that's the case, if Urouge is a relatively new pirate, then they wouldn't put a really high bounty on him. Another reason why it's 108 is because that's a very relevant number in Buddhist teaching. teachings, and obviously we're going to have a lot of references to Buddhism. He's a fallen monk, and, well, the fallen monk pirates, that's the name of him. He's the mad monk, is his epithet personally. His ability is karmic punishment. That's one, like, a attack he has, so karma. So yeah, there's a lot of references to that, and he seems to embody Buddhism a little bit, like when he watched Kaido leap to his death off Balloon Terminal. You see him, like, praying there for him, like, well, if he wants to die, he's resolved himself. I have no place to bother him. Let's pray for his death in the next life, or whatever. So that's what he does there. That's Buddhism. Oh wait, no, Yin Yang is Taoism. Yeah, that's Chinese. That's something else altogether. Yes, so don't just forget about that. Okay, so yeah. So one of his abilities, though, we know he has a devil fruit ability. It was never mentioned in the story, but it was mentioned in a data book or the guidebook, Deep Blue. That was mentioned, or Blue Deep, I think it was called. Yeah, it was Blue Deep. That's where it was mentioned that Urouge does in fact have a devil fruit ability. All we know about it is that whenever it seems that Urouge takes a certain amount of damage, he's able to convert that damage into power. We've seen this ability before with plenty of other anime characters, you know, the more I get hit, the stronger I become. Didn't see that coming, did ya? He gets his ass handed to him by a pacifista, gets knocked around quite a bit, gets knocked through a wall. And then you have Basil Hawkins there, and he's like, and then you have Kizaru showing up, and he's like, he didn't know. I don't think he knew that the pacifista wasn't Kuma, so he was like, oh, a warlord to my front and an admiral to my back. I guess this is where I'm dying today. And then Hawkins tells him, I don't see the shadow of death on you, so I don't think you're dead yet. And I think that reinvigorates him, so he activates his power, his Devil Fruit ability, which allows him to convert all the damage he took from the Pacifista into body mass and muscle mass, and increases his size. And then he takes out his weapon is just a giant fuck-off steel pillar that it's a pillar. He just takes it up and swings it like a bat and just crushes people's heads with that. So, I mean, come on now. It's kind of hard not to like a giant muscular dude that just swings around a giant support structure thing. So that's pretty neat. So he uses that, knocks around a pacifista a little bit, looks kind of cool, looks kind of badass. But at the end of the day, he's just no match for Kizaru. Kizaru just kind of shoots him a few times with his lasers. He goes down, but just kind of ignores him after that, and then he eventually escapes Saboni with the other Supernovas. And that's pretty much all there is to it there. I would say that his Devil Fruit ability, the power to absorb and, reacclimate damage, maybe he can only do that a single time. Like, he can't just, like, I've absorbed your damage and now I'm bigger, and then he gets hurt some more, and he's like, now I get even bigger, then he gets hit some more, now I get even bigger. I think he only can do it once. At least before the time skip. Like, he gets shot, and so he has to choose when to activate his power, and when he does, it kind of resets. But he has to be careful, because if he waits too long, he could potentially die, but if he uses it too soon, then he can't do it again for maybe a set amount of time, and he's screwed if it's not enough power to win. So yeah, I mean, that seems the double-edged sword of that ability there. Right, so we see him one more time before the time skip ends. We see him arriving in the new world. He arrives at Raijin Island, what we would later know as Raijin Island, the island with, like, the lightning rain that just bombards the island constantly, which is an island I really wish the Straw Hats would have went to. You had that scene in Weatheria where Nami is reading about the book, and it's like, a lightning rain, what's this? And I'm like, oh, they're gonna go there. They never go there. I'm like, damn it. Maybe they'll backtrack to it someday. Maybe Raijin Island is one of the islands where one of the road poneglyphs points to Raftel, so they have to go there. Ooh, did you ever think of that? I bet you didn't. I'm so freaking smart. I'm gonna do a whole video about that now. Just kidding. But yeah, oh, and by the way, Weatheria. Yeah, Weatheria is a sky island, but the race on Weatheria is not, like, the same as in, because there's, like, two layers. There's the White Sea and then the White Sea. It really does seem like Weatheria is just an island where there was, like, a bunch of normal humans that got together that studied the weather, and then they figured out how to make, like, an artificial sky island and just float around in the White Sea. Not actually real Skypians or Shandorians or Brickins, just scientists that are really good at studying and modifying weather and all that crap. So that seems what Weatheria really was, rather than a separate race. But yeah, so Urouge, I was getting sidetracked there. Urouge lies at Raijin Island, and he doesn't know how to land on the island because there's lightning coming down. It's like, where are we going to moor our ship? We're going to get bombarded with lightning as soon as we get close to the damn thing. That's when this creepy lady in a boat shows up, and he's like, heh, 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 you want some umbrellas there, dearie? And Urouge is just kind of like, okay. Urouge is always the guy that smiles, like, even in the face of death, he'll smile, so... you know, and whenever you catch him without smiling, he's just like, okay, what's this going on about? We don't know what happened. We don't know if he accepted the umbrellas or if he just decided to say, okay, screw this and just leave. But we do see him again after the time skip. We see him being mentions a bunch of supernovas that have been causing problems, like Kid sunk a few of Big Mom's ship, and Beige, you know, joined up with Big Mom's crew, and then you have a Rouge that took on Snack and managed to kill him. So the first time we actually get to see a Rouge is he's chilling out on a sky island in the White Sea, 10,000 meters above sea level, and it's a balloon terminal. It's just this island that's just, I guess, the resting place for, the way Oda puts it, it's the resting place for every single child's balloon. So every child's balloon that ever gets lost, and he's like, oh, I lost my balloon, it just floats and eventually finds its way to Balloon Terminal. This is Oda. He gives a resting place for every child's balloon in the world. That's Oda for you. But anyway, it's like a ruined city on top of the balloon cloud. It's like some place that nobody ever goes to. So I guess after the battle with Snack and Cracker, after he was damaged by Cracker, Urouge decides to retreat to this island to recover because he's like, we're on a sky island, 10,000 meters above sea level, and a ruined sky island at that. So we could chill out here and we can rest. That also seems to imply that Urouge has a method to go from the blue sea to the sky, you know, whenever he so chooses. That is not something you should take lightly. Remember how much of a pain in the ass it took for the Straw Hats to get up there, and how, like, there's no flying machines in the One Piece world other than, like, Eneru's Arc. So the fact that Urouge can go from the blue sea to the 10,000 meters above and back down whenever he chooses, that's a big fucking deal, alright? So hold on to that. Well, anyway, he's up there chilling out, and then Kaido arrives. So I guess Kaido also has... How are they getting up there? Kaido shows up on the island because he just wants to... Not because he's a Rouge, he just wants to kill himself. But actually, I would make the theory that the reason Kaido killed himself, or tried to kill himself, was just because he saw a Rouge on that island. He's like, oh, I better get off this island. So he jumps off because he can't... Kaido's afraid of Urouge. You can stay away from him. But no, in reality, Kaido didn't even really pay attention to him at all. He just kind of walked right by him, and that's when Urouge was like, oh, you're going to kill yourself? All right, well, I have nothing to... And then he jumps off, and then we all know what happened from there. He landed on the island with the Kid Alliance, and that was it. That was the last time we saw Urouge, just chilling out up there on the sky. So, he's going to be showing up again. I don't know if he's going to show up soon, but he took out one of the Sweet Commanders, which was something that's not easy to do. Luffy managed to defeat Cracker, but even then didn't actually kill Cracker, and it was a hard-ass fight. So, yeah, we don't know what Snack was capable of. For all we know, Snack could have been the weakest of the four. But, you know, the fact that he took him out is still a pretty big concern. So, the things that I'm interested in about Urouge, I'm interested in about his history with the Brickins and with the Sky Races. Like, I hope we get to learn more about that through Urouge. What the name of his devil fruit is. I don't know if it's going to be like the Karma no Mi, the Zen no Mi. Oh, look, I have Zenyatta back there. I would have incorporated him more into the video if I knew. Yeah, I have him back there. He's Buddhist. Okay. So, yeah, maybe Oda's going to do something with that, focusing around Buddhism, because that's obviously what his aesthetic is. So we're going to see some of that. And, yeah, I guess I like him more than when he was first introduced. What do you guys think of him? Comment below on all the favorite moments from Urouge and what you hope to see from him in the future. But, yeah, I guess he's just right now an example of a character that... I think Oda knows that he's really, really strong and knows a lot of stuff going on, but we don't know yet, so we're kind of just like, what is with this guy? But, yeah, hopefully we'll find out soon. Alright, so with that being said, who's next on the docket? Oh, where's that list I have? Did I lose my list? Huh. So that's, that's embarrassing. So the next video in the Supernova series is going to be, I guess, Bonnie! Yeah, whenever I'm in dire straits, just always default to the boobs. They've never let me down before. Those luscious, bouncy, triple D cup boobs. Yeah, so, Bonnie will be next. Have a good one, everybody. Good night.